This video will lead us to Istria. Originally we wanted to see various towns such as Porec or Vin, but unfortunately the weather was not on our side, so we changed our plan. I'd like to show you the weather situation on my tablet. That's a surface pressure chart from the beginning of this week. There you can see a lot of disturbances over Europe, and the clouds are very dense. Here's the Adriatic Sea and our location. And these blue lines bring cold air into the Mediterranean Sea. And because the main flow is from west to east, all of these formations will come to us. What we can see also are these three upper low pressure zones. We can see this more detailed on the 500 hectopascal chart of the GFS model from the same day. Here you can see these two green areas, which mark these upper low pressure zones. Die eben sozusagen diese Höhentiefs markieren und die hier eben einen Luftmassentransport. And because of that, a lot of energy is brought into the Mediterranean Sea. But it doesn't matter, the boat is good equipped, and we also. And we say there is no bad weather, there's just bad gear. Thus we set out and had some great days. We rounded Zres on its northern end and finally anchored in the bay of Voscice. On the next morning, it was overcast and a little bit windy. We got out early to reach Pula soon. Traditionally, we made a good breakfast with bacon and onions. Afterwards, we passed a well-known light called Hrid, which marks the southern end of Istria. The lighthouse was built in 1833. It's said that there are a lot of finds in the sediment around the lighthouse from Roman times. The southern cape of Istria is a meteorological divide, so we could set sail after there was some wind. Pula was the main harbour for the Austrian marine at the time of the monarchy. Finally, we ended up in Pula. We refueled the boat and went stern to in the marina of Pula to do a walk into the city. The arena of Pula is the 6th biggest and is in a very good condition. The history of construction is not completely clear, but the final building as it is today was ordered by Caesar Vespasianus Augustus. He died before it was finished, but the opening ceremony was done by his son Titus. They showed gladiator fights as it was usual at the time then. Up to 26,000 visitors fit into the arena. Today was very windy but sunny, so we prepared everything to set out and sail in southerly direction to get to the east side of Istria. It was a great day of sailing. On this perfect day we rounded Istria on its southern end and passed Hrid and Plicina Albanes. In respect to the weather, this was the best day of the whole week. Tomorrow it should become rainy and cold. There was a big depression on the western Mediterranean Sea, and the warm front should reach us soon. Finally we anchored in the beautiful bay of Kavran on the southeast side of Istria. We were the only boat in the bay. The bay is uninhabited and gives a good shelter against northerly winds. I'm sure that there are a lot of boats in summertime. The inner end is pretty narrow, so you may need a shoreline when anchoring there. The water has 13 degrees, so it's too cold to take a bath. But the outside temperature is too cold anyway. For dinner, we had grilled vegetables, bacon, salmon and yogurt. Peel the vegetables, cut the stripes of bacon, cut the vegetables, roast the onions, and of course you can't cook without beer. Roast the garlic, add the vegetables, cut the salmon, well, sometimes mistakes happen at one-man video productions, but nevertheless, the meal was still very good. It was pretty cold at the next morning, but luckily the Webasto works again. So let's listen to the weather forecast and make some coffee.
Vidljivost 10 do 20 km. Na oblačenje. Ponegdje kiša i pljuskovi, osobito u noći. Južni Jadran. Vjetar jugoistočni, istočni 5 do 15. Tijekom dana jugoistočni postupno u jačanju na 15 do 30. U noći na otvorenom moru do 35 čvorova. More 2 do 3. Jačat će na 3 do 4. Na večer na otvorenom 4 do 5. Vidljivost 10 do 20 km. Na oblačenje. Ponegdje kiša i pljuskovi, osobito u noći.
There's a short intermediate report. We are on the way since a few days. Originally, we wanted to head for Rubin, but the weather is not on our side. We have some bad luck because there is one depression after the other.
Ein Tiefdruckgebiet nach dem anderen durchs Mittelmeer durchzieht und
in the moment, there is a big one in the western Mediterranean Sea. It deepens at the Balearic Islands and will move to the Tyrrhenian Sea. The front will come this night, probably in the second half.
Abend oder heute Nacht oder beziehungsweise in der zweiten Nachthälfte irgendwie drüber ziehen wird und mit Regen und Gewitter und so weiter. Ja.
So we changed the plan and we were only in Pula. Now we head into the other direction to get a good shelter. Of course, there's also an advantage. We did most of the route under sail. I think we had 80 nautical miles until Pula. Now we sail back. The Bora and Jugo are alternating. They are good for sailing. Otherwise, we would have to use the engine a lot, because it's rather far from Malinska to the other side of Istria. Here we are in a beautiful bay, very quiet, beautiful in this season. Almost no other boats. Here we are completely alone. Well, I think we'll go now, get our foul weather gear and continue our trip. I'd say, let's go.
Ja, da sind wir jetzt unterwegs.
Here we are on the way. As you can see, the weather is not great. Everything grey.
Alles grau in grau.
Behind me, totally cloudy. That happened already in the night.
Über Nacht schon zugezogen.
That is because a frontal system is approaching the Adriatic Sea, and it will pass probably in the second half of the night or tomorrow.
Die Nachthälfte und morgen Vormittag da eben.
It will become a little bit rainy.
Ungemütlich wird und Regen und so weiter. Ja. Außen.
This is Istria.
Also, Istrien und also
Many seaside resorts and a lot of tourism in summertime.
Sehr viel Tourismus im Sommer halt, ja.
But in the moment it's very pleasant.
Heißt, also,
There are almost no other boats, and that has a big advantage,
Und, das hat natürlich
because you immediately find enough space on every anchorage.
in jeder Bucht überall sofort eben einen Platz findet. Und
Here in front of us is a traffic separation scheme. That's why I have to cross to starboard, to the island of Zres.
hinüber und also Richtung Insel Zres, damit wir da nicht kreuz und quer durchfahren.
Here on this side,
Da herüben,
everything grey.
ja, auch grau in grau.
That's the island of Zres, the biggest island of Croatia.
Die größte Insel Kroatiens. Und da
And here in the south, this hill that you can see here, that's Lošinj.
ist also Lošinj.
It's connected to Zres with a narrow channel and a turning bridge where you could pass with the boat.
Mit einer Drehbrücke wo man durchfahren könnte eben. Ja? Und südlich davon liegt dann eben die Insel Voscice. Ja, mittlerweile haben wir die.
In the meanwhile, we passed the northern cape of Zres. You can see it here in the background.
Und hier kann man.
Here you can see a small passage. That's the island of Plavnik, which you do already know from other videos.
Plavnik, die ihr schon noch von anderen Videos kennt.
And here on the other side, that's the island of Hrid. And here, exactly in front of us, is our home port Malinska. But you won't see it on the video, but it's there. Let's see what the weather will do in the next days. Currently, it's pretty cold. Well, it's not too bad, it's around 10 degrees. But April can be warmer already. We'll see what will happen on Friday afternoon or on Saturday. Probably we can sail here in this area a little bit. The next day was unexpectedly calm, and we did just nothing. Except cooking, of course. Beef roulades stuffed with vegetables and bacon, and additionally roasted potatoes.
Wir sitzen da gerade in einer schönen Bucht.
We are sitting here in a beautiful bay near Malinska, and I did some work on the boat. I cleaned the bilge, was pretty dirty, and that the pumps don't get stuck. In the forenoon it rained a little bit. Now in the afternoon a light southern breeze came up. The next cold front is approaching. You can see in the background as it is cloudy. Here this direction is Rijeka. And because there's some time, I thought to show you the boat. You've seen it several times in the videos, but now I'll show you everything inside.
Das Innenleben von diesem Boot. Und zu dem Zweck.
So I'll go down and show you how it looks like. So here we are in the saloon. It's a comfortable big saloon. Here behind me is the navigation desk. Have a look at the saloon first. That's my navigation desk. Here are all main switches, original design from the Spanish boat builder Pula.
Das ist alles original von der Werft damals, spanische Werft Pula, die das
everything written in Spanish.
beschriftet.
That's my navigation notebook.
Was ich da verwende.
I work with OpenCPN.
CPN.
a very good navigation software with thousands of features.
Eigentlich und kann 1000 verschiedene Sachen.
It runs on a notebook which is connected to the Enmea bus.
Bus angeschlossen ist, das die ganzen Daten eben empfängt und ja, Notebooks.
You can buy notebooks relatively cheap. A chart plotter in the same size would cost 5 or 6 times as much.
Vermutlich das 5-6-fache kosten.
It's wasted money and has less features.
Also habe ich sozusagen das mit dem Notebook her. Was ich da habe.
That's a Navtex.
Navtex.
I showed you already in some other video.
Euch das einmal gezeigt, ja, da kriege ich also Live-Daten.
It receives actual messages, such as navigational warnings and weather forecasts.
Wetterforecast.
It's received on medium frequency. You don't have to look it up somewhere and works without internet coverage.
Auch wenn man keinen Internetempfang hat. Das Boot ist ja
The boat is a traditional long keel boat,
und der Motor ist
and the engine is not below the cockpit, but down below in the floor.
also unterm Cockpit, sondern ist im Boden eingebaut. Und,
Let's have a look.
mal anschauen.
A diesel engine with 45 horsepower.
Das ist das.
And I already mentioned that I cleaned the bilge today.
Bilge eben gereinigt, habe ich schon gesagt, ja, damit das alles wieder schön sauber ist. Da hinten ist nämlich
Here in the
Bilge,
back is the bilge sump.
kurz anschauen. Ist nämlich da
It's
rein.
there. It's pretty deep.
Und da geht es schön tief weit runter. Da sieht
In the
man,
center you can see the propeller shaft.
Propellerwelle in der Mitte. Und da
And here on the right side is the bilge sump.
Also da unten ist
It's
der
at least
Bilge,
1
da
meter
geht's
deep.
noch einen guten Meter nach unten. 3
There are 3 bilge pumps. 2 are electric.
Eine mit einem
One has an automatic switch and the second has to be enabled manually.
zweite elektrische herinnen, die da manuell aktivieren kann. Und dann gibt es natürlich eine Hand.
And there is a manual pump with a handle outside in the cockpit, as usual.
Draußen im Cockpit, wie das auch auf allen anderen Yachten ist, wie es auch vorgeschrieben ist. Dann gehen wir
Let's
mal
have a look at the
vor
galley.
und schauen uns die Galley an. Ja,
Well, a
Abwasch
sink,
natürlich. Klar, da auf der Seite haben wir eben
here's a gas stove.
Gasherd.
You've seen us cooking already.
ist gekocht, das habt ihr gesehen. Und in den Kasteln natürlich.
And here's a lot of kitchen gear.
Und ja, Glaseln und so weiter. Auf der Seite habe ich jede Menge
Here are some spices and provisions, coffee and so on.
Und ja, Kaffee, alles was man halt so braucht. Ja, daher vorne
Here is a
kommt
fridge.
natürlich auch ein Kühlschrank. Ja, alles mögliche, was man braucht natürlich. Ja. Bier.
Of course there's beer.
Auch da. Ja, dann habe ich hier auf der
Here on starboard is a cabin with a bunk
gibt's
bed.
noch eine Kabine, das ist eine Stockbettkabine.
Originally there was a bunk bed, but it was removed by some previous owner. And I built it in again, that I have enough room for guests.
Damit wir doch genügend Schlafplätze auch für Gäste bekommen. Da gehen wir kurz
Let's look inside the
reinschauen
cabin.
in das Kammerl. Ja,
Well,
normales Stockbett
looks as usual.
ausschaut. Ja, dann gehen wir
Let's go
ins
further to the bow.
Da gibt's einmal, in der Mitte einen
In
Durchgang.
between there is a shower stall, and in the bow there is a regular front cabin.
Bugkabine. Ja, das haben
So
wir
here we are.
Zelle.
A
Waschbecken
sink,
und
some stuff.
natürlich genügend Stauraum für alles Mögliche. Auf der anderen Seite
On the other side a traditional boat toilet.
auch ein klassisches See-WC. Hier auf
Here
dieser
on this
Seite,
side is a bilge
ist
pump.
noch eine Pumpe eingebaut. Das Boot hat
The
nämlich
boat
ein
has a
Grauwasser.
tank for grey water,
Das gesamte
so sinks and showers drain there into this tank.
kommt eben in diesen Tank hinein.
Thus there are no additional seacocks.
Seeventil insgesamt haben wir
In
nur,
total we just have 3
Seeventile
seacocks.
an Bord und ist sozusagen daher
So it's very safe. No additional points of failure.
keine Schläuche oder sonst was
But
dran.
from time to
Aber dafür
time
muss man den
the
Grauwasser
tank has to be pumped
Zeit
out.
zu Zeit auspumpen. Ja, und dann
Let's
gehen wir
have a look
nach
into the
vorschauen
front
in die
cabin.
Kabine, das schauen wir uns auch noch an.
A small but very comfortable and cozy front cabin. And of course there is a hatch where I can have a look if the weather is fine. Let's go back into the saloon. So, what do we do now?
Ich weiß nicht.
I'd say let's go sailing, don't we?
Ja, okay.
Come on, say that with a little bit more conviction. And what do we do now?
Jetzt gehen wir segeln.
That's a perfect idea. Let's do it. On our last day, we did an excursion to a very special place. We went to the Haludovo Palace Hotel. It's probably one of the most well-known lost places in whole Europe, but for sure in Croatia. They started to plan the hotel in 1968 in the then communistic Yugoslavia. The goal was to bring foreign currencies into the country, which were urgently needed. It was opened in 1971 after 4 years of construction. 1 year later, Bob Guccione, who was the founder of the Penthouse magazine, did an investment of $45 million to get a contract for the next 21 years. Notable guests visited the hotel, but still, after 1 year, it fell into bankruptcy. Afterwards, it was run until 1991, and it worked. Then it was privatized and handed over from one investor to the next. The last guests were accommodated in 2001. Since then, it was abandoned. Even today, there are traffic signs which lead to the hotel. It was a beautiful week with several discoveries. If you like lost places, I strongly recommend to visit the Haludovo hotel in Malinska. I hope you liked my video. In the next video, I'll show you Santorini in Greece. See you!